and welcome to our Wednesday Ephphatha Bible study for July the 15th, 2020. My name is John Crabtree. I'm the pastor of First United Methodist Church in Mountain City and Trade United Methodist Church in Trade, Tennessee. Well, we are continuing our journey through Genesis, and today we're going to look at the famous story of how Jacob cheated Esau out of the birthright. These are the sons of Isaac. As we get started, our mug for the day is a handcrafted original. Allie made this for me while she was a student at Berea College, one of the many things that they made. So this is a precious mug to me. I really like the design on it too, but I don't want to put stuff in it. So actually I don't drink out of it. It has a place of honor on my shelf where it's safe for me breaking it while I'm trying to wash it, basically. But anyway, hi, Robert. Glad you're with us today. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. We are in Genesis chapter 27. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called his elder son Esau and said to him, "My son?" And he answered, "Here I am." Isaac said, "See, I am old, and I do not know the day of my death. Now then, take your weapons, your quiver and your bow, and go out into the field and hunt game for me. Then prepare for me savory food, such as I like, and bring it to me to eat, so that I may bless you before I die." Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau went into the field to hunt for game and bring it, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "I heard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me game and prepare me savory food to eat, that I may bless you before the Lord before I die. Now, therefore, my son, obey my word as I command you. Go to the flock and get me 2 choice kids, so that I may prepare from them savory food for your father, such as he likes. And you shall take it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies.' But Jacob said to his mother Rebekah, 'Look, my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am a man of smooth skin. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be mocking him and bring a curse on myself and not a blessing.' His mother said to him, 'Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my word and go get them for me.' So he went and got them and brought them to his mother, and his mother prepared savory food such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best garments of her elder son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on her younger son Jacob. And she put the skins of the kids on his hands and the smooth part of his neck. Then she handed the savory food and the bread she prepared to her son Jacob." So, Jacob is busy swindling Esau out of Esau's birthright. Rebekah, they all know the promise. They all know the covenant that Isaac was and is the child of the covenant, and the covenant with God with Abraham is going to flow through Isaac and through his offspring, and through them there will be a multitude of blessings. Every nation will be blessed through them. And Rebekah herself, while she was pregnant, she got word from the Lord that the older would serve the younger, and that Esau was the firstborn, and the younger son Jacob was her favorite. So, here we have one of the patriarchs of the faith. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are like the 3 patriarchs. When Jewish people mention patriarchs, those are the 3 they mention. And so here we have a really interesting, kind of unsavory situation. Rebekah knows the promise, but Rebekah doesn't see how the promise is going to happen, because in the ancient world, it just was unheard of that the younger son would inherit before the older. Everything passed through the firstborn son, and other stuff was some dribs and drabs were for the rest of the family, but the elder son was the heir, was the inheritor of the name, the bulk of the property, the pride of the family, descended through the eldest son. And sadly, in the ancient world, women and daughters were seen as vehicles for getting more sons, not much worth in their own right. So Rebecca doesn't see how God's plan and how her favorite son is going to triumph in this. So she decides to help God out. She decides to kind of take matters into her own hands and figure out a way for things to work out the way she wants for them to. This is not new. People have been doing this forever, and it generally doesn't work out terribly well. Hey, Sue, glad you're with us today. So when we decide to help God out, we really end up not helping. So how does that differ from being obedient? Well, being obedient is doing what God says and trusting that God has got things under control. When I'm talking about saying help God out, trying to get to the end goal when you don't see how God's going to arrange things the way you want them to. So Rebecca wanted her son Jacob to be the favored one. And so what they've all here in this story have failed to see is that in God's vision, in God's reality, in God's kingdom, God's not limited to what we think is normal and customary. See, we humans have this deep-seated tendency to think that the way our world is organized, our societies are organized, especially the ones we grew up in, our birth societies, our birth families, that is the normal course of events. That's the one ordained by God. That is the one that is right, and everything else is kind of weird and wrong. And we don't have the tools until we get older and wiser to look objectively and to critique even our own society and our own family. That's kind of a function of maturity. So in Rebecca's world, it wasn't possible for the younger son to get the family blessing. That went to the older son, so she decided to cheat. And part of the amazing thing is that this family is still held up as one of the pillars of the faith. I'm not saying they don't deserve it. What I'm saying is that the way God looks at things may be a little different than what we have expected. And the fact that they decided to cheat doesn't make them better. That just means that is another obstacle that God had to work around to accomplish God's purposes. Yeah, Jacob got the blessing, and that earned him many years of family discord and fear and anger, Esau's anger toward him. Eventually they reconciled, and that was grace of God. But that trying to help God out, that came at a pretty steep price. And if we let God be God, things work out generally a lot better. Hey, Neil and Sharon, glad y'all are with us today. So Rebecca has put Jacob up to it, and Jacob doesn't argue. Jacob doesn't say, "Well, that's not the right thing to do." The only concern Jacob has is that he's going to get caught. So this too is a recurring theme in Jacob's life. I call him the trickster. He's a slippery one. He gets the job done, but he's not one I'm sure you'd really want to trust. But yet he's still beloved of God, and yet God still uses him. I'm not saying that God approves of all these shenanigans, but I am saying that God uses these scheming, tricky, imperfect people to accomplish his purposes. And that's good news, brothers and sisters, for me and you, because he has use for us, scheming and imperfect people too. Okay, we were in verse 17. Rebekah's prepared the food and gives it to his son Jacob. 18. So he, Jacob, went in to his father and said, "My father." And he, Isaac, said, "Here I am. Who are you, my son?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you told me. Now sit up and eat of my game, so that you may bless me." But Isaac said to his son, "How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son?" He answered, "Because the Lord your God granted me success." Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near that I may feel you, my son, and know whether you are really my son Esau or not." So Jacob went up to his father Isaac, who felt him and said, "The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau." And he did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's hands. So he blessed him. He said, "Are you really my son Esau?" Jacob answered, "I am." Then he said, "Bring it to me that I may eat of my son's game and bless you." So he brought it to him and he ate, and he brought him wine and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come near and kiss me, my son." So he came near and kissed him. And he, Isaac, smelled the smell of his garments and blessed him and said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you." As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, when Jacob had scarcely gone from the presence of his father Isaac, his brother Esau came in from his hunting. He also prepared savory food and brought it in to his father. "Let my father sit up and eat of his son's game, so that you may bless me." His father Isaac said to him, "Who are you?" He answered, "I am your firstborn son Esau." Then Isaac trembled violently and said, "Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me, and I ate it all before you came? And I have blessed him. Yes, and blessed he shall be." When Esau heard his father's words, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me also, my father." But he said, "Your brother came deceitfully, and he has taken away your blessing." Esau said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and look, now he has taken away my blessing." Then he said, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" Isaac answered Esau, "I have already made him your lord, and already given him all his brothers as servants. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What then can I do for you, my son?" Esau said to his father, "Have you only one blessing, father? Bless me also, father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then his father Isaac answered him, "See, away from the fatness of earth your home be, and away from the dew of heaven on high. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. But when you shall break loose, you shall break his yoke from your neck." Now Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing with which his father had blessed him. And Esau said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are approaching, and then I will kill my brother Jacob." But the words of her elder son Esau were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is consoling himself by planning to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him for a while until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger against you turns away, and he forgets what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you back from there. Why should I lose you both in one day?" Then Rebekah said to Isaac, "I am weary of my life because of the Hittite women. If Jacob marries one of the Hittite women such as these, one of the women of the land, what good will my life be to me?" So Rebekah is kind of laying the seeds for Jacob to be sent away. So yeah, Esau's rightfully upset. I'm not saying he's right to plan on killing his brother, but I am saying that he is right to be angry and hurt. And Isaac's blessing wasn't much of a blessing, was it? Again, this ancient world mindset that the elder son got everything, and the rest of the family got scraps, and the girl children didn't even get that. So it's a very alien worldview, but God is still working in the midst of that brokenness. I'm not saying God approves of it, just as I'm not saying God approves of all the stuff going on today, but God uses us and the situations we find ourselves in to accomplish His will. It's amazing that God can work with us, but He does. Jacob is called the trickster for good reason. We'll look at more of Jacob's story over the next several weeks. But it's kind of funny in a kind of funny way that the trickster finds someone who's even trickier than he is. God has a way of working things out to God's purposes, to God meeting God's purposes, even as when we try to stack the deck, even when we try to do things our way. So, this is a rather sordid story. There's really nothing to look up to as an example here, and yet these are some of the foundational people of our faith. And it just goes to show, again, I keep on saying this because it bears repeating, that God has a way of using us imperfect people for His perfect will. And I don't know about you, brothers and sisters, but I find it very comforting that God can use us, people who make mistakes, almost despite ourselves sometimes. So I hope that brings you comfort as well. All right. So the next couple of weeks we'll be looking more at Jacob and what he does and what he gets into, and looking a little bit further ahead. Jacob and Esau do reconcile, and I'm glad of that. But all the trouble, all the stress, all the turmoil, that could have been avoided if people had just let God do God's thing and not try to help God out. So anyway, hope you guys have a blessed week. Stay safe. Be in prayer for all the sick all around us. The coronavirus cases are rising rapidly here in Johnson County. We're kind of hovering. We're really quite low. So I pray that we keep on doing what we need to do, wearing our masks, keeping our social distance, and keeping safe. So we are, Lord willing, on for in-person worship again this Sunday. So we'll see you at Trade at 9:30 and at First here at 11. And then, of course, we'll have the service from First recorded and uploaded in the early afternoon. And we are working on ways to get that live stream. We're working on ways of upgrading our internet and stuff. So have a blessed week, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. God bless. Bye-bye.